Well, there were some fiery exchanges on Capitol Hill today during the testimony of FBI Director James Comey. Republican lawmakers want to know why the agency decided to recommend charges against Hillary Clinton over her mishandling of emails while she was Secretary of State.
And we don't want to put people in jail unless we prove that they knew they were doing something they shouldn't do. And so when I look at the facts we gathered here, as I said, I see evidence of great carelessness. But I do not see evidence that is sufficient to establish that Secretary Clinton or those with whom she was corresponding both talked about classified information on email and knew when they did it, they were doing something that was against the law.
Did Hillary Clinton lie?
To the FBI? We have no basis to conclude she lied to the FBI.
So did you plan the timing of your announcement to help Secretary Clinton's campaign event on Tuesday?
No. Timing was entirely my own. Nobody knew I was going to do it, including the press. Look me in the eye and listen to what I'm about to say. I did not coordinate that with anyone. The White House, the Department of Justice, nobody outside the FBI family had any idea what I was about to say. I say that under oath. I stand by that. There was no coordination. There was an insinuation of what you were saying that I don't mean to get strong in responding, but I want to make sure I was definitive about that.
Today's hearing is political theater. There's not even the pretense of trying to get at the truth. This is a desperate attempt under an extraordinary set of circumstances, an emergency hearing. I don't know what the emergency is other than one side is about to nominate somebody who is a pathological narcissist.
So the former Secretary of State, one of the president's most important advisors on foreign policy and national security, had a server in her basement that had information that was collected from our most sensitive assets, and it was not protected by anyone, and that's not a crime? That's outrageous. People are concerned. What does it take for someone to misuse classified information and get in trouble for it?
Well, it takes mishandling it and criminal intent.
Congressman Chris Stewart of Utah is here with us. Congressman Stewart, you actually are not on the House Oversight Committee who heard his testimony, but you are on the House Intelligence Committee. Was Director Comey's answers enough to finally put to rest Hillary Clinton's use of private email servers?
Well, no, I mean, hardly. I mean, we know this is going to be a conversation that goes on for quite some time. And I respect Director Comey. I have defended him for the last couple of years. But I am like millions of Americans who look at this conclusion and we just shake our heads. I just don't understand it. I sit on the House Intelligence Committee, as you just said. I was an Air Force pilot. I flew the B-1, one of the most powerful and sensitive weapon systems. I've seen classified information really my adult life. And I've never seen anything more sensitive than what Hillary Clinton had on some of her servers or on some of her emails. And I look at that and I just don't understand how this could not have led to a more serious consequence for her.
You've actually read some of the classified emails that former Secretary of State sent to others on her private email server. What do you make of the FBI director's decision not to prosecute her?
Well, again, I kind of shake my head and I wonder that, and I'm not alone. I've heard from so many people back home, across the country, here in D.C., who they call and ask, and they say, look, you've seen the information, are we missing something? And I have to say to them, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And I've said very carefully in the past, having read every one of her top secret emails, including some that were special access programs, these are some emails that maybe a handful of people would have had access to. And they do reveal classified means, they do reveal classified methods, and most disturbingly, they do reveal classified human assets. If that information had been revealed, it could have potentially endangered people's lives.
Congressman Stewart, what would you like to see happen right now?
Well, I would like first thing for the Secretary to be honest with the American people and to actually admit what she did. When she said that she didn't transmit classified information, we know now that she did. When she said that there were no markers on these that identified as classified, we know now that there were. And when she said they didn't in any way endanger national security, we know now that potentially they did. The first thing I'd like her to do is to hold a press conference and to say, you know, what the director has said is true. Those things that I've said for the last year now isn't the truth, and for her to be honest with the American people and then let them decide. Ultimately, the American people will have to decide this. There won't be a Justice Department proceeding going forward. The American people will have to decide, did she exercise the judgment that are required of the president?
You're talking about the American people. I was monitoring the reaction on Twitter. Some regular Americans are saying this was all just political theater.
Oh, that's nuts. That's just absurd. It's just not true. Again, I've read these emails. I'm familiar with the more than 2,000 that the State Department, not me, not some vast right-wing conspiracy. The president's own State Department said there were more than 2,000 classified emails on her server. The president's own FBI director has said there were dozens and dozens of top secret emails on her server. He said that that server was not protected. How can that just be considered political theater? There's nothing like it that I've seen in the federal government. If I were still a military officer, as a minimum, I would know I would lose my job. I know I would be kicked out of the military for this type of activity. And yet the secretary goes on without any consequence, and some people say that's just political theater. I think the political theater are those of us who are wondering, why isn't she held more accountable?
The FBI Director Comey, he made a point of saying that there was no criminal intent in this case and he couldn't move forward. So why would you like to see charges put against her if the own FBI director is saying we just don't have enough?
Well, look, I haven't said that we should pursue legal charges against her. I've said I hope the American people will hold her accountable. And at the end of the day, that's the only option we have now because the director has made a decision. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't yet understand it. I look forward to talking with the director because, as I said, I respect him. I respect his many years of service. I don't understand this decision. But the only option we have now left is for the American people to make the conclusion on their own, was this acceptable behavior for someone in her position of such high authority?
All right, we'll leave it there. Congressman Chris Stewart, thank you for your time.
Thank you.